Aloha and welcome to Betty's Real Estate Corner, brought to you by Sakamoto Properties. This is Betty Sakamoto. Sakamoto Properties is the place where we say prestige is our business, reputation our foundation. Today I'm here alone in the studio. Usually I have somebody with me that's going to kind of bounce off ideas, but we have a couple of people. Tricia Morris is going to be checking in with us almost momentarily. She's the president owner of Premier Mortgage Company. If you watch any television, read any advertising, Premier Mortgage is where magic happens. They are the mortgage magicians. It was hard to get that out. And we've seen any number of times that they do seem to be able to make the magic happen. Before we get to Tricia, keep in mind you can reach us anytime at 808-669-0070. That's 808-669-0070. Or go to sakamotoproperties.com, and I'll fill you in a little more on our website as we go along. But if we have Tricia here, let's hook her up with us. Hey, Tricia, it's Betty.
Hey, Betty, how are you?
Great. You know, I did just introduce you as the magicians, where magic happens, etc., because I always think that that's a lot of fun. But I'm sorry you couldn't be here in the studio today, but appreciate your call. And I have a variety of questions, but mostly I'm hoping that you can fill us in on a number of things. One has been the whole mortgage thing, anything you can think of, but starting with, are jumbo loans available? Are they impossible? Maybe give us some details.
No, they're definitely available. In fact, all loans are available. I think there's a certain amount of patience that's required because the documentation is quite extensive, but we are getting them through and haven't really had too much problem other than it just takes a lot of paperwork and some time.
Yeah, we've seen that in our transactions right now.
I think we need to allow a couple of months.
Yeah, it is.
For the jumbos.
Mm-hmm. And we've all got sellers that have been waiting a long time for the sale and then get a little edgy. So I think you're right. If we allow enough time in our original contract, we probably have a better chance of completing the transaction.
Yeah, and I always tell people when they call for information, let's just pre-approve you, because that shaves some time off too. And we can get a loan approval done in 5 days, and then people know for sure that they can buy, or generally, I mean, if it's a difficult loan or something, we might not be able to do that, but at least, everybody would know where they stand. And I think that's valuable in this kind of lending climate.
You and I have talked about that before and once on the show. I think it is an important thing to realize that as real estate brokers or as the consumer looking to buy a property, so great to first check in with a mortgage specialist. And you can obviously talk to your local bank if that works for you. You can talk to whoever did your loans the last time. But Tricia, the Premier Mortgage, like we're saying, where the magic happens. I did describe your advertising that says all of that, the magicians, et cetera. But why don't you fill us in on your phone number? And you were filling me in also on the reason that people should come to you or to somebody like yourself, because you have many more sources of loans than, let's say, walking into a bank.
That's true. And also there's a couple of other things. First of all, we are not owned by anybody. We are independent, and we can make decisions. Unlike even if you go to a bank, the person you talk to is not a decision maker. And we know the guidelines. All the people who are working on loans in my office have at least 20 years experience, and we need that now because we need to know how to, interpret guidelines and analyze tax returns. And if people are self-employed, they need that expertise. It's really important. And also, with this age of computers, we can get decisions a lot quicker than we used to. That's not so true in the banks, but we can. And because we work with so many people, we can make sure that, if we're going to say that you don't qualify right now, that's really true, where you might not qualify at a particular bank or a particular lender, but you might qualify at a different one. And it's important to make sure that somebody's checking every option for you.
So again, the easiest thing for anybody would be if their first move was to talk to the lender, in an event, talk to Premier Mortgage, call Trisha or one of her other people that, again, have been in the business a long time and try to figure out what you're qualified for, talk about condominium versus a house, because other things will come into play, such as association fees. But I think it really is. And then be honest. When you walk in to Tricia, give her the legitimate what's going on, because if you've had a few financial or credit issues, she can tell you how to overcome that, even if it takes you a few extra months. And you can still then contact the specialist at Sakamoto Properties or your other real estate person and start to look at properties. So you really, when Tricia has you qualified and ready, you already have an idea what neighborhood you want to be in and what you want to do.
I think that's really important, and I even like taking it a step further, even though I make more work for myself, and that's to actually get a loan approval.
Oh, I think absolutely a loan approval would be
because
vital.
talking to somebody is kind of that. It's just talking to somebody. If we can actually give you a pre-approval letter, not the generic ones that don't say anything, but the ones that actually say this is what we need to do to have a loan approval, and we've already covered all these other bases, then you, as their agent, knows exactly what they can do, and it also increases their negotiation power.
Absolutely. And that is really what I meant, even though I said talk to. I think that's critical. You want to not only talk to, but you want to go in, you want to give them all of your information, you want to tell them what you've got in mind, and do a complete approval process so that you have a letter in your hand. So when you're going around with your real estate broker, you can actually attach it to offers so that they know that you truly are able to buy now versus just kind of out there wandering around looking at properties.
I think that's so important because the news that the financing markets are so difficult has permeated everybody and everything, so the sellers are scared to death to see an offer with financing in it. So we've got to do everything we can to make the sellers comfortable, too, that we have a legitimate buyer who's really going to close a loan. It's interesting because if you look at the amounts of loans that are actually getting approved nationwide, it's something like 22% of applications are actually getting approved, where ours are 100% because we do so much upfront work.
I had not heard that.
Yeah,
I didn't have any idea that nationally 22%.
Yeah, it's pretty scary because people don't have the experience and they don't go through the extra steps because it is a lot more work in the beginning to run the credit and actually get the approvals. I think that helps everybody, including the buyer who wants to put an offer into something and find out they don't qualify later.
No, that hurts everybody.
Yeah.
If you start showing somebody properties that are $500,000 or $5 million when their budget is $300,000 or $1.5 million, we're all going to be losers in that. So again, having that information is obviously critical.
Yeah.
Going back for a minute though, what about jumbo loans? Just give us a little bit of a quick, even off the cuff, so to speak, interest rates that are happening or